Finland 92 is indelibly printed in my mind, and from the minute I got off the plane at Tivesco to be greeted by the team who mentioned that Colin had already rolled the car once in testing, and they were beating it out in a panel beating shot round the corner.
Even when they pushed it into scrutineering, we couldn't push on the body panels because the paint was still wet, so they got it all straightened out. We started the rally, and then on the first day of the rally we had a fairly major accident, probably one of the biggest ones I've had, and got away with it. Sort of rolled about 7 times in through all the tree stumps, and it ended up on its wheels, and you would normally just have got out because you would have said the car was destroyed.
It felt like a fairly heavy accident, but put it in reverse and started up and it came back on the road.
It wasn't really looking like a Subaru anymore, but it was still going very well. And then the next day we had another off, and then rolled through a pile of trees, broke a tree in half. Got it repaired, and we had to do, I think, the last 2 stages of the day with the welding goggles on to keep the midges out of our eyes.
By the third day, I was there with a sledgehammer knocking out the dents myself.
The way that we were received by the people in Finland who don't normally take to foreign drivers, the way we were received, it was incredible, and I think that helped, immeasurably with Colin's career.
It was like that with Colin all the way down the line, but he, when somebody gives their all and is so competitive, he does rally support around him.
The next year saw Colin promoted to Subaru's World Championship team. The big time had arrived, but there were a few hiccups before any wins.
We'll be coming to the emergency service point. We've taken a rear wheel off, over.
And Colin then was going through that frustration of thinking, what do I have to do? I'm fast all the time. I keep looking like I'm going to win a rally. When is it going to come? And it finally came together in New Zealand.
Obviously, the end of the rally, once we got there, it was almost an anticlimax because everybody had been waiting for so long for this victory in the team, and when it came, we didn't really know how to deal with it. But after we'd settled down, after a few minutes, we had a good party.
New Zealand wasn't just any WRC win. It was Subaru's first. The first for a Brit since Roger Clark's 1976 RAC victory, and the first win for a Briton outside of the UK. Colin's fame was spreading, and so was his Subaru's bodywork. By 1994, the press had renamed him Colin McCrash.
It was fair enough at the time. I certainly did crash quite a lot of cars, but that was the thing that everybody loved as well. People love to see somebody trying hard, and if they have an accident, they have an accident.
It wasn't all positives in those days, We had a fair share of incidents, and Colin had more than his fair share of crashes and so on. But that was the thing that, and it's true, to be fair, with most young drivers, the one thing is that they are going to go out and they are going to absolutely do their best. And in Colin's case, it wasn't just his best; it was flat out. It was on the limit. And as I say, you knew that's what the car can do.
I was prepared to go a gear higher into every corner to beat someone, and generally you would get away with it. But you can only get away with it for so long when you sort of drive with that attitude.
Well, at the beginning, I think he was crashing quite a lot. He was obviously pushing very hard.
Somebody who drives 110%, you can always bring them back 10%. But somebody who can get to 90, it's very difficult getting from 90 to 100%. And I think David knew that as well.
Oh, it was a very expensive period, and there were many occasions when Colin and I were at odds with each other because I was trying to persuade him to stay on the road and he just wanted to drive as fast as he could.
DR was great. He had navigated for years with Harry Vatten, and so he knew what it was all about, to crash cars. But there is a limit for everybody, and I would say he was fairly justified in his bollocking at the end.
It's very difficult to get a driver like that under control, and he's a fairly rebellious character in his own right, or he was in those days. Things have changed somewhat recently, but nonetheless, just working together to try and get solutions inevitably sort of ended up in big spats between us.
But Colin's flat-out style paid off at the end of the year when he beat his new teammate Carlos Sainz and took victory in the 1994 RAC, the first home winner since Roger Clark 18 years before.